What if I told you there was a way to read greens that was insanely accurate, but also the fastest method you've ever seen? Just imagine. No more second guessing, no more misreads, no more slow play. Just a fast, insanely accurate, math-supported method that gives you the right read right in front of your face every single time. And you don't even have to do any math calculations. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. And after you watch this video, you'll never read greens the same again. Huge controversy in golf currently about slow play and green reading, specifically the aim point method. And then anytime I do a video on the channel on reading the greens, there's always somebody in the comments saying, oh, this will be 10-hour rounds or 6-hour rounds, or this will slow down play. And my general theory is that slow players play slow, and some method of reading the greens is better than none at all, because if you read the greens, you have a better start line, you make more putts. But it is a valid point that a lot of green reading methods are ridiculously slow. But what if there was a way to read greens that was super, super fast and highly accurate? You'd have fewer putts in a round, you'd take less time reading the green and stomping around, and you'd make more putts. Perfect world, right? Well, Andrew Walters from Georgia, he's an engineer and a surveyor, and he's come up with a green reading method that he calls EGOS. It's Expert Green Reading Operating System, EGOS. And I'm going to teach you that method in this video. And let me say right up front, this is not a paid promotion. I don't have an affiliate relationship or a sponsorship relationship, anything like that with Andy or with this green reading system. I don't make any money if you go and purchase his books or whatever. It's simply that the purpose of this channel is to help people make more putts. And I found a green reading system that solves some of the problems we have with slow play and helps you be accurate. So let's jump into it. Now, Andy says this green reading system is different from all of the other methods, and he puts all of the other methods out there into 4 categories. One is staring. You're looking and looking and looking and looking and taking more time. The other is foot feeling, where golfers are stomping around and they stand here and then they stand here and then they stand here, feeling the break with their feet. Several green reading methods use either staring or foot feeling to determine slope. Then the third is maps. And of course, maps are now illegal on the tour, and so you can't use those. Only what you can see and observe and feel with your feet and eyes, which leads you back to the first 2 methods. And the fourth one, I know a lot of golfers use this, and it's memory from previous rounds. Like I know guys who play the same course 3, 4, 5 times a week. They've done that for the last 5 or 10 years. They have the slope memorized on every pin position, and they're the guys who will walk up to you and say, oh, this one looks like it breaks that way, but at the end it goes back like that, and you don't see that. And not seeing it is part of the problem with all of those green reading methods, especially with any of the staring or looking and looking methods, is the courses are designed by both the greenskeeper and more specifically by the course designer to give you optical illusions on the green. Andy has a system that eliminates those optical illusions. Let's talk about now what it is and how to do it. And I'm going to talk about this system and show you exactly how to do it in just a moment. But first, I want to establish 2 things. Andy contends that tour pro golfers misread about 10 putts per round. And if they had the right read, you know, not everybody's stroke is always perfect every time. But if you got 10 reads that were accurate and you've been missing reads, that'd be worth 1 or 2 putts a round. Pretty significant. One other thing that's really important is this is the only green reading system I've ever discovered that has a guarantee. The guarantee is for professional golfers. If your caddy gets trained and learns how to do this system, has a little bit of coaching, the guarantee is that on the PGA Tour, you will average 27 putts and change per round. That's significant because currently on the tour, and it's been this way for the last 20 years with all the new green reading methods, all the amazing new putter technology, all the added time, the average is still 28 putts and change per round. So he gives a guarantee that he'll get you down to under 28 to 27 and change per round with your caddy using the system, and with the caddy and player using this system, the guarantee drops to below 27 putts per round, 26 putts and change. And by the way, this guarantee means that every year for the last 20 years, you would have finished in the top 5 in putts per round on the PGA Tour. That's a significant guarantee. Don't you want to learn a system that has a strong guarantee like that? I do. So I told you this system was math-based and you don't have to do any calculations. Let's talk about that really quick. We've got 2 alignment sticks here, and if I could hold them perfectly square with my hands, there would be 1, 2, 3, 4 90-degree angles there. Of course, I'm not able to hold them 100% square with my hands. Now, if I would stand one of these up on the slope, this slope is going that way a little bit, so I'm going to tilt that one slightly just for purposes of example. And I've left this one perfectly square and horizontal. You'd see that angles change. These are no longer 90 degrees. So here's your basic 10th grade geometry. I'm standing on the ground. The ground is sloped that way a little bit. That slope relative to perfectly horizontal has an angle. We'll call that angle A. And again, 10th grade geometry, you just have to understand this and then you never have to do it again. So if that slope is like this, then the way my feet are relative to each other is an angle, angle A. Geometry, math says this angle, because this line is sloped, is the same as the slope of my feet. We'll call this angle B. And guess what? This angle, again, because of slope of my feet, and this line being 100% straight up and down vertical, that this angle, angle C, is the same as angle B, is the same as the angle of my feet standing on this slope relative to horizontal. That's the geometry. Angle B, angle A equals angle B equals angle C. And this angle C is what you're going to learn how to get. You don't have to remember the math ever again. Just know that you're getting this, and using this method, it appears right in front of your face on every putt, and all you ever have to do is calibrate for speed. So let's jump into that. I'm simply going to show you how to use the method by talking about how to stand, where to stand, and how to hold your putter. Now, when I start talking about holding your putter, a lot of you are going to think this is like plumb bobbing, and it is not. It's completely different. Plumb bobbing falls into the category of staring, and then you're lining up your putter at the ball and at the hole in the shaft of your putter, and you're trying to see some little bit of tilt to the cup, and you can learn to do that, and that might tell you the general direction of the putt breaking, but it doesn't cover optical illusions. It covers area where your ball doesn't roll, which is useless, and it doesn't give you an exact measurement of how far the putt is going to break, or a way to calibrate for speed and different green conditions. So let's start with how to stand. Go out on the practice green, put a ball down, and then I want you to step up to that ball and straddle it with your feet wide apart. And yeah, if you're standing on slope, your body is going to tilt that way a little bit. Don't try to adjust for the tilt and go back. Don't try to tilt your head to the side or any of that. Just stand straight, your weight evenly balanced on your 2 feet, and your spine straight relative to your feet. So if you're standing on some tilt that slopes this way, your right foot is going to be higher, your left foot is going to be lower, therefore your spine will automatically be tilted that way. You don't have to do anything there, but just stand up. And basically what you're doing is you're using your spine like a surveyor's range pole. They set a range pole on the ground. It's got a square 90-degree angle. So if there's any slope, that range pole will go from being straight vertical to tilted to match the angle or the amount of that slope. Then you have to hold your putter. We got to talk about several things on how to hold your putter. First, if your putter is not perfectly balanced, this shaft is not straight up and down and you can't use it as a surveying instrument. So you need to make sure that you have a balanced putter that hangs wherever you point it like a hoe new, or you need to take your putter and calibrate it. And to calibrate your putter, stand at a door frame or some edge corner of a wall that you know is absolutely straight. Line up the bottom of that putter shaft with that wall and then twist it just below the grip. Twist it in your fingers until it points straight up and down. When you do, notate where the face is pointed, like it might be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whatever. Take note of that point. Then on the green, you're going to want to hang your putter that way in your hands so that it's perfectly straight vertical. I know some people have put a mark on there. That's prohibited by USGA rules, so you can't do that. Maybe practicing, you could, but on a golf course, no, you'd be breaking the rules, and we don't want to do that. So now, you hold your putter, you've got it adjusted or calibrated for you where you know what straight vertical is. So now this is a vertical line. Well, look here, you're going to get the angle very simply because I'm standing on a slope, which means my spine is here. And if I hang my putter straight vertical like this, there's an angle there. And that angle is the amount of gap, the spot where I need to aim outside the ball. More about that now. And what you do, you're standing over your ball, straddle your ball, your feet spread wide, spine lined up with your balance, with your hips, with your feet. You know how to hang your putter, hold your putter perfectly vertical. What you do is you imagine a straight line from the hole back to your ball. Perfectly straight line that you're looking at. If you hit this putt straight at the hole, it helps if you can find a target along that line, maybe a little imperfection in the green, maybe the edge of an old ball mark, a different colored blade of grass, a piece of sand, whatever. I can't always find those perfectly, so I've been using just an imaginary straight line. Then what you do is you've got to turn, my spine is right here, and I want to be looking straight on that line, so I've got to turn my head slightly until one of my eyes, and it doesn't matter right or left eye, dominant or not, just more comfortable for me with my right eye. So here's my spine. I've got to turn, get my eye directly above my spine. Then I hold up my putter and I pick 3 or 4 feet out in front of me. It will vary for the length of the putt, but I pick a spot on that straight line that I'm imagining between me and the hole, between my ball and the hole. And when I do that, this putter will hang because this putt is going that way. I'm looking straight at the hole here, but the putter has a gap. It's over here, not here, over here. And that is the gap. That's my starting target line. First, I want to show you how fast this method is, and then I'm going to show you how to calibrate for speed and for uphill, downhill. And as I'm taking these reads, I'll walk through it and talk to you about what I'm doing, but you can see both how fast and how accurate it is. So here's a 10-foot putt, one take, no edits. You'll notice that I stand over the ball, not behind it, but over the ball, that I spread my feet wide, that I point my sternum straight up the target line. Then I turn my head slightly so that my eye is aligned directly over my spine. I hold up my putter and let it hang straight. Something I forgot to mention earlier with the putter is you want to hold it where that your hands are even with the hole, not above or below. And then I get my gap, go through my routine, stroke the putt, and it goes in the hole. Here's another example. This one is 20 feet exactly. And I'm going to take two readings here because the putt has a double break. So I take the reading from the ball. You saw how quick that was, and that was my spot for where to start it. Now I'm straddling the actual hole itself and taking a second read from the hole back to the ball. And I notice that right at the end it breaks back the other way about that much. And so now I make an adjustment for that, go through my routine, stroke the putt, and you'll see that it makes the double break and goes in the hole. Now let's talk about how to calibrate for the speed of the greens. Of course, they change every day, so you got to calibrate every time. Go out, find a 10-foot putt that has some break, which is what I've done here, and then you line up and take a reading and you get your gap or your starting aim point for that 10-foot putt. You take note of that, you go up and you stick a tee in the ground at that point. And then from the pin, you go double that distance and stick a second tee, and then that same distance again for a third tee, and then the same distance again for the fourth tee. Then you line up and you use each of those four tees as your starting line, and you're hitting the ball at the speed that you're most comfortable. So for me, the speed I'm most comfortable with is a speed that if I miss will go 1 foot past the hole. And so you aim. You start at the first tee, and that's not enough. You start at the second tee. Then you start, for me, the speed I like to hit this putt this day starts at the third tee and at the right speed. That goes in the hole. So now it's a 3-gap day. And you'll notice with the video here that the speed matters. You've got to get the speed blended to your starting line. And so now I'm going to take that out on the course. So let's take this out on the course. On the first hole, I've got a 20-foot putt for birdie. I take my reading, get a gap. This putt is going from my left to right, and I factor out 3 gaps. That's my aiming point or my starting line. I'm going to roll the ball there. And I calibrated to a 10-foot putt on the practice screen, so now I'm going to hit it exactly twice that pace, and that's for a 20-footer, and guess what? It goes in, or on a 20-footer, you don't make a whole lot of those, but it gets very close, and you absolutely read it the right way so that it doesn't break back the wrong way in a way that you didn't expect or anticipate. If the putt is uphill, and it's a 3-gap day, well, I'm going to make a little adjustment if it's uphill to make it 2 gaps. And if the putt is downhill and it's a 3-gap day, I'm going to make a little adjustment to make it 4 gaps. You get the idea there. In Andy's book, there's actually some training on how to spot uphill or downhill and know that. I did an online video call with Andy and walked through this system and had some questions and answers, kind of like a podcast. I'll also post that so you can watch the whole unedited thing if you like or prefer. So go out and try this. If you've got questions or comments, ask them. If you want to know more, shoot me an email. If you'd like to see more videos explaining and demonstrating this system, let me know that. It's really all about making more putts. And you know the drill for that. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Check out this video on the screen. And here's to you making more putts.